Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's top business interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, the president of Dale Carnegie Training Tokyo, Japan. My special guest today is an old friend of mine, Jan Babatz, who is the president and CEO of Gurhing Japan. Jan, welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
It's been a while with COVID to catch up.
Definitely.
It's great to be in your office after a little while.
Thank you.
You know, how is it that you are here in Japan? You've been here quite a while. How did you first get interested in Japan? How did you first come to Japan? How is it you're running Guhring here in Japan?
Okay, a lot of questions. But first of all, thank you for being here and for being invited. I'm really honored because, I don't have that long experience like you have, and you're definitely my senpai. Admire you, definitely. Let's get back to the questions. How did I come to Japan? I mean, I was born and raised in Berlin and in Germany, we will come back to that. I was born in East Berlin, so on the other side of the wall. Maybe it has an impact on what I did here. Anyway, I was learning, in high school I was learning Japanese, which was quite unusual.
Now, was that something you had a choice? I'm going to learn French,
exactly,
or I'll do Spanish, or I'll do Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, I mean, in school we could learn, or we had to learn Russian. Everyone. Then I was learning English, French, and then there was a choice, of Spanish, Old Greek, Latin, and Japanese. And I thought,
this is at high school.
In high school,
That's
yes.
an unbelievable range of linguistic choices, right there. Incredible.
I think that this is not the usual way. I heard during that time there were about 7 high schools who offered Japanese, and plenty of them Latin. If you want to become a doctor, so you need that Latin, definitely.
Okay, you need Latin.
I don't know why Old Greek, but there were some people who learned that, and I don't
That'd
know.
be useful today, having a big knowledge of Old Greek.
Well, if you want to study history, go ahead, please. I like languages. From the start, I liked language from the start, and maybe that was because during East German time when I was raised up, we didn't have much. We had a black white TV. I don't know if you have experience with the black.
Oh, don't worry, I had plenty of experience with black and white TVs.
Okay,
plenty.
And I had a radio, a mono radio, and I like to listen to foreign programs. So when I was, I don't know, 6th grade or even younger, maybe 3rd, 4th grade or so, I like, when I had some time, I like to switch around with that, that tuning switch and listen to, I don't know, Russian, Poland programs, French programs, Belgian programs, whatever. It was so interesting. I was like, okay, what's out there? And, and then you listen to the music, to the cultural music, and it's like, okay, this is really interesting, foreign cultures, and you can just get into this culture if you learn the language. So language was just, I was interested in language to communicate with other cultures. And of course, if you have this choice in high school, if you already learned English and French, and that if you learn Spanish, it's the same root as Roman language. So there's of course it's a new language, but there's nothing much to learn about. But Japanese, that is so unusual. Japanese, all these characteristics. And then I was 16 by that time, and I thought, it's kind of cool, if you want to impress some girls, and hey, I know this character, I can even draw it, And I thought, okay, let's do it.
I never thought of kanji as a chick magnet. That is a new breakthrough for me.
It works.
A new breakthrough idea for me.
And I really started then, but it was just more fun. Just how to see how it looks like. And then I thought, okay, first of all, there were 30 other guys who thought the same. And the end of the 4 years, there were just 7 left.
Oh, big.
Okay, this is quite, and I didn't like to learn that, like I'm not a fan of textbook learning. But the point was that my teacher, she was a beautiful half Japanese, and actually she introduced us the culture, not just the language, but just the culture. So on different ways. So it's kind of teaching, how you teach the language. I mean, it's the same in English, like in English lesson in Japan. If you have a very nice English teacher who can introduce you to this, like, okay, this is, you use a language for speaking, but if you can understand videos, if you can listen to the text of the music, which is right now popular in the radio, they're playing up and down, and you know what they're singing about it, and all that stuff. And she introduced us to the ambassador, and then we had a tea ceremony. We went to even a Japanese restaurant in Berlin, or she invited some guys who showed us the calligraphy, and that it's always a different point of this
great teacher,
culture. Yes, definitely.
Great teacher.
And it was you always had a change. You didn't know. I mean, it was in the afternoon at 2 or 3 o'clock, after all these other lessons, and you didn't know what expecting you. So this was that was the hook. And after that 4 years, I thought, okay, you learned some Japanese. Maybe you can understand something. You can speak something. My grade was okay. No, forget it. But I was interested in that culture. And after these 4 years, I couldn't even imagine, how do they live in Japan? I mean, do they really eat sushi every day? Or do they all like the mangas? Do they all, have, I don't know, this Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi was at that time when Tamagotchi was, trend also. Yeah. And my dream from that high school was actually, okay, once you have to go there by yourself. Once you have to go there and you have to see by yourself, but not as a tourist. You have to go there and just try to live as they are, see them as they are. And that was a dream I constantly kept in my mind. Afterwards,
were you able to continue Japanese on into university? Did they offer it in university?
No. And they just offered Chinese in university, and that's why I said, okay, maybe, in order not to forget these characters, the kanjis, I just tried, and I learned 1 year Chinese, which was very interesting, and also very nice teacher, and he was experienced it the same way, and I even understood something after that 1 year, but it was quite a hurdle, Chinese is difficult. You know that better than me.
I do. I studied Chinese too, so I know.
Oh, wow. But anyway, after high school, I started a job. I started learning industrial salesman. I was working in Berlin, and then I had to go to you could choose between the army and kind of civil service. So I was working in old people's home. Always kept that dream in my mind, and was looking for a way how to go there. You cannot just apply, from Germany to Japan for any company who say, hey, you don't, this is 4 years high school, what is it? There's no reference. So there was that one time when a friend of mine, she told me about, there's an organization who can send you over to Japan. I said, okay, let's go for that. I applied for that, and this is kind of, it's the ICYE, International, by that time it was International Christian Youth Exchange. I think now they changed to International Cultural Youth Exchange. I'm not sure about the recent history of that. Anyway, this is an opportunity for young people who have already, graduated school, who are adults, but who can still then go to other countries. And that was in 1999. I came to Japan first time. And that was quite an experience. I mean,
how long were you here that first time?
1 year. It was an exchange year for 1 year.
That's an extensive program, then.
And yes, really a 1 year program. And the good point was that I came by that organization, but I was living with a host family.
Ah, okay.
And I will never forget this first day when we arrived in Narita, and of course the person from that organization who picked me up, she read my CV and okay, he learned Japanese, he can speak Japanese. It shouldn't be that problem. And I thought, wow, 4 years Japanese now, you can show what you can. Well, I got off the plane and was, that's plenty of characters you have here. And then she started speaking. They were, just slow down. I didn't get what you just told me, and it was. What did I learn for 4 years? I mean, maybe I've sitting in a Chinese lesson, nobody told me, or something like that. I haven't understand the world. By the way, that was before I came to university.
So this is between high school and university. So,
right.
So your Japanese should have been at its peak level when you touched down at Narita.
Definitely. but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Well, anyway, I came to my host family and here in Tokyo and Tabasco, and it was really, they took me like their own son, and
nice.
they had their own son who is half a year older than me, and even now, they treat me like they're
Part of the family,
real
yeah?
son. It's
Nice.
part of the family, and we still have a contact. We're still visiting them. It was more than 20 years ago, so I'm really thankful for that opportunity, and I'm really thankful because with that organization, there were. I think we were 10 foreigners from all over the world, countries all over the world, from Costa Rica, from Iceland, from Switzerland, Finland, from Korea, New Zealand, plenty of nationalities. And they all had their different experience, and they all had, good and bad experience as you have it. But I had a really good experience. And
did you go to a Japanese high school at that time?
No. I was 24, and since they cannot send me to school again, I went to school. You have this, I did volunteer work. So you have this opportunity to work in schools, but as kind of guest teacher, I didn't have any experience in teaching. It was like, throw him in and he will do something.
You work it out.
And it was exactly the case. I mean, I went to a primary school here in Sumidaku. And just the first day together with the Iceland guy, we have 2 foreigners at that time in 2000, year 2000, in primary school. That was still unusual. And of course, the whole school gathered together. It was about 500 students, and
they're all boys wearing their Prussian uniforms, and the girls wearing the Navy outfits from the British Navy, right?
Yes, exactly. But you always have, when you come to Japan, you always have to be prepared for unusual things, for surprises. But we weren't. And we came there first day, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Maybe you can sit in the back and watch them, how they teach or so. No, we rented the first 2 hours. We rented the sports gym, for you. You're on the stage and you can introduce your country. So it's like, hitting someone with a bat. It's like, we didn't prepare anything. God, what shall we do, And that was that kind of experience we had the whole year. And but we somehow made it.
But if you flip that around, if it had been the other way around, and the Japanese had gone to Germany, they would have wanted full time for preparation. Yeah. They would have wanted every I dotted, every T crossed. Definitely. They wouldn't have accepted just doing something random on the spot like that. When you flip it around, that Japanese preference for being totally organized that's for the Japanese. But you foreigners, you'll work it out on the fly, no problem, go for it.
I really learned about how to improvise things.
I'll bet.
And the first 3 months, we had this kind of there's something in a textbook about Germany. Can you tell us more about that? So we had this guest teacher role sometimes together with the Japanese teacher. Okay, we also improved our Japanese, and then in the later run in the primary schools, we were also seeing ourselves and teaching about the German policy or something like this. So in different grades or teaching German children's songs and that stuff. So it was really very, very mixed up. Okay, that was that 1 year. And after that 1 year, my Japanese really became fluent, became as a Japanese. And in the end, we were talking, we were making jokes in Japanese. So that was really the kick-off for me to say, okay, I dig into the culture, And after that 1 year, someone told me, I think it was even now the head of the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Schirmann, because by accident, I gave his son a lesson in ABC, in writing and reading. I think it is. Yeah, just somehow. And I think he told me, if you dig in this Japanese culture so deep, you cannot just go back, shut the door, and say, okay, that's it. It's not like going to America for a year, coming back. Okay, now I can start my German life. Something like this. So you have to keep your foot in the door. Keep this foot off. Come back. I said, okay, Went to university in Berlin. I studied
What a
business
shame you
engineering
couldn't
then.
continue Japanese university after having gotten to such a stage after high school in this 1 year.
Yeah.
That would have been ideal. But anyway, so what did you study at university?
Business engineering.
Business engineering, okay.
Studied business engineering. That was when I 1 year I just learned about Chinese. 1 year, just not to forget it. And every time when we had some holidays in university, I just came back. I'm on my own. I just wanted to keep contact to the friends.
Yeah.
Went back to the schools, even taught there, and
Really?
and just keep that alive.
Oh, okay.
Then we have this when you study in Germany, you have this half a year internship program. So you need to do an internship. I did my internship here in Tokyo in a joint venture. The company was called Ergo Toto. It was a German lighting company. They produce lights for like a Tokyo Forum, these spot downlights and uplights and that and stuff. And that was the Japanese joint venture for half a year. It was my first experience in business life. And even there, I felt, okay, that was a team of, I remember, maybe 12 or 15 employees, and Japanese GM and German GM, so two. And it was a nice experience because I saw that, there were just 2 or 3 who could really good speak English really good in that company. And the rest just, Japanese who even had a problem if there's a phone call from Germany. It's like, Germany, phone call, someone who can speak English, just get on the phone. So it's like, oh, they look so helpless. I just borrowed a book from the former YMCA, where I also was, having friends and sometimes taught. Was borrowing a book about business English and just taught them some phrases in business English. So I made up my own course in business English in that half a year. And that gave me an insight about how they're working, how they're thinking, how they're learning. And they appreciate it because they even use them, these English phrases, just like, English conversation. How do I get to the phone? How do I answer? How do I reply to questions from foreigners and that stuff? Quite easy. After my studies in Germany, I was just, my goal was, okay, go back to Japan. There was nothing else. And I was just looking for a company. I mean, if they produce chocolate, German beer, whatever it is, or even tools, I just need to go back. And there was that company called Walter. They're producing tools, cutting tools.
Walter?
Walter, yes.
Yeah, we did training for Walter many, many years ago, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. We did global. It was a global contract, originated out of our colleagues, Dale Carnegie colleagues in Germany.
Yes.
And we delivered the Walter Japanese version of the training here in Tokyo. That was about, that must have been, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember Walter. There was one of the first big global contracts we got involved in.
All right.
Walter Tools.
Yes, Walter Tools.
Maybe you were in Malta at that time.
That was in 2005. From 2005 to 2007, Walter Japan didn't exist yet. So I applied with Walter Germany, and they were looking for someone to send him over. I did my thesis, wrote my thesis over there about the Japanese tool market, even wrote a book about that. And then I went to Japan as an expat from 2005 to 2007 to Aichi, close to Nagoya, but more in the countryside. And, during that time, Walter Tools was not existing. It was just, a small desk. This is the Walter desk. Within their partner called OSG. OSG is a big tool company, actually the biggest tab makers worldwide now. And they still have a cooperation with Walter. So I came.
You were the desk?
I had this desk, You
were Mr. Walter on the desk.
Exactly. I was the
anything Walter is me.
Exactly. About insert tools.
But that's pretty interesting. You didn't have that much business experience in Japan, apart from teaching business English.
Exactly.
And yet they were prepared to send you to Japan to represent the company. Even though it's just one desk, it's still you are representing the company in Japan. They must have a lot of trust in you to do that.
Yes, and they asked me to represent the company, but I was also, I was there as a salesman. I was a salesman for Japan, so market responsible, yes, but no president, no GM, nothing. Just salesmen within the company OSG and going together with OSG salesmen to the end user. They are producing solid tools, round tools, solid tools, drills, mills, and so on. And I was the one who was responsible for the insert tools. So when you just exchange the inserts and have different cutting edge and even special tools for power generation for automobile industry. And it was quite funny. I mean, of course, they were trusting me, but they also said, when they introduced me to customers, it's like, wow, now we have this guy here. This is Jan. This is our guy. He will do the automobile market. It's like, okay. One guy, it was a one-man show for 3 years, and they expected me to go into a Japanese automobile industry. I mean, looking at the other global player, how many people they have for automobile industries, it was just ridiculous. Seeing from the perspective now. At that time, I thought, yeah, definitely, yeah.
No problem.
No problem. I'm just going to do it. And but by the time
you turn up at Toyota and it's like basically, it's a business the size of Malaysia. Basically, it's a huge. I mean, I've tried to deal with Toyota too, so I got very good idea of how vast that organization is.
Well, I mean,
bureaucratic it is too.
Look at the basics. Look at the basics. I mean, if you want to go into a Japanese automobile industry, you need a stock. You need plenty of guys who are there 24/7, and all the reactions. And if they want to have a special tools, they need it tomorrow. By tomorrow at the latest. At best is within 8 hours, something like this. Where you're lucky if you can contact Germany and ask for an offer within the next 8 hours, something like this. A proposal or so. That was a big difference, and I learned by that time. Okay. You gotta slow it down. Take a little bit, breathe, slow it down, and also the OSG salespeople. They're really friendly. They're really nice. They took me into their organization, let me participate in any OSG event, or that evening drinking, and so I was part of their
team. Part of the team. Yeah.
And that was, and also the president of OSG by that time. Teruhide Osawa, he is a giant in the industry, and he took the time and greeted me personally and asked me, what are what's your motivation, what are your goals, and I said, wow, this is never ever, even when I was a Walter man, even the CEO of Walter didn't take the time to greet me.
I'm saying you at your age and stage, you
at my age, at my stage,
in Germany,
exactly,
it'd be impossible.
And really completely impossible because he's up over there, and I'm here.
Yeah.
But this man, he had such a big impact on me, and he just said, okay, if there's any problem, you can just call me. Here's my business card, and
wow, yeah.
And I learned a lot during the 3 years, and then there was this. We had lots of customers in power generation industries, like big players like Toshiba, Hitachi, Mitsubishi. Who produce these power plants, turbines, gas turbines, even nuclear power turbines and generators and that. And my task was, of course, to keep the contact, build up the contact, and keep the contact to the customers, and then sometimes invite them to Germany, show them around, and of course our plant. But also sometimes there were special wishes because they just don't need the tool only, they also need a machine. Okay, said, okay, then we have some business partners in Germany, let's ask them and just make a small tour. And there was this machine tool company where also, the vice president, he took the time and showed the customer around. And I was just translating that time, I didn't have any idea about the machines, but it was impressive, the big machine tools. And and then at the end of that day, I just gave me his business card saying, "Right, do you want to mind if we just keep in touch?" I say, "Okay, yeah." And he scouted me. He scouted me because he was just impressed by my Japanese, and I was impressed by the machine. So we impressed each other. So we got together.
This is Guhring, obviously.
This is no, it was not Guhring. That was
Guhring. Okay.
Waldrich Siegen. Waldrich Siegen is a big machine tool builder.
Okay.
Another one. And I switched from the tool because my contract was also limited to 3 years, expat. So I had to go back anyway. And then I switched from the tool industry to the tool industry to machines. Went back to Germany for 1.5 years just for learning about the machines and also taking care of the customers. So I got back into the German, working environment, which was another interesting experience for me because I get this culture shock rebound,
Right.
You go back to the German and you just said, I was happy in Japan.
Yeah.
And I go back and I see all these, in an area where it rains. I think I heard it's the most, the area where
Which
most.
part of Germany are we talking about now?
I mean, we're talking about, Düsseldorf, Köln, so west, and then 150 kilometers to the center.
Right.
So not very to the west, so like middle west or something like this. So similar center. So east of Köln. That might be a better explanation. And Siegen, and this Siegen area, most of the rain which is falling down Germany is falling down in Siegen. And it was like that, definitely. And if it rains, you have these gloomy faces, and some colleagues, that just don't know anything else than just complaining about the work time, complaining about the customer, complaining about anything. It was like, oh, gosh, but also nice experience. I had lots of nice colleagues and learned about the machines, which were really impressive. And yes, and then in between I married my Japanese girlfriend and took her over to Germany. And I got to know her where I was working in OSG, and she's from a very, very countryside.
She's from Aichi.
She's what?
She's from Aichi.
No, she is from. She's from Aichi, from a small place called Shinjiro. A very, very countryside, very small village.
I worked in Nagoya for 4 years. I've never heard of Shinjiro.
Yeah, great. Okay.
My wife's from Aichi as well.
All right, perfect. No, I mean that was, and she didn't speak English, she didn't speak German, anything. So we just relied on speaking Japanese. And she didn't have any idea. I mean, she was young, and she didn't have any idea what's expecting her. And wow, this big imagination of Germany. Wow, Germany, Neuschwanstein, this big, castle, and everything is so nice and beautiful in Germany. And she, got a throw into the pure reality in Germany. It was like, okay, and it was a hard time for her, but she appreciated it. She learned a lot of that. And our daughter was born, and then we came back. For Waldrich Siegen Japan.
Okay.
And
where are they located?
Here in Kanda, in Tokyo.
Oh, okay,
in
so you're now in Tokyo.
Back to Tokyo, and that was a team of I think six.
What was your role in the team?
First of all, I was deputy manager.
Okay.
Because they already hired me, because the current manager, or the manager by the time, he was about to retire, and then
you're gonna
switch over. Exactly. So, but then was the interesting point was that he was by that time I think 63, 65. Long experienced Japanese guy who has his connections, who has his contacts, and who has this reputation. And I was a young guy, as his predecessor, as his successor, and I had the difficult task to build up relationships, or even to keep relationships, and to get the same trust as he had. And this was kind of it was kind of difficult because I was learning from him a lot. He told he took me like his own son, took me by the hand and said, okay, let's go to this customer, let's do it like that. And then he was also the guy who gave me the advice. And actually, if you ask me at the end of this podcast, I would give the same. He gave me the advice, Jan, when you want to be successful in Japan, you don't need to fight the customer. You need to fight your headquarters. The guys in headquarters. And he was right. He was right. Because I need to, some kind of take the standpoint to look from the perspective of the customers, what they are expecting. Otherwise, if you just follow the orders and follow the rules the German headquarters is telling you, you will not be successful, definitely not. Because they don't know the customer. You don't know how picky the customer can be, especially if it comes to quality.
As a Japanese national who'd been in that business a long time, who had established a lot of credibility, his capacity to fight with headquarters is one level. Here you are, a new guy, you take over, you don't have the same credibility, the same, not a Japanese national, you're a German national, you're in Japan, So how would they treat you? They think, no, you don't know anything. You just do what we tell you to do. Whereas they might not have said that to him. He may have had a better capability of swaying them to his point of view. How did you find that? Or you found it wasn't an issue?
Let me see. It was an issue. I mean, of course, he was the rebellion. If the headquarters said, okay, we need you to sell this and this for this and this price, and he said, oh, I can't do that. He was just fighting back. It's like, wow. And then the German guys turned to me and said, it's him again. It's him again. And he's always allowed. He's just too Japanese. Why don't you change it to German? And you do it. So they gave me the same task, and I had then this heavy inheritance to go to the customer and explain it the German way, which is, of course, doesn't work. But I got this foreigner bonus, and maybe all the listeners or watchers should know about that. If you come to Japan as a foreigner, first of all, even if you can speak Japanese, or even if you can't speak Japanese, you always get this foreigner bonus. That's when the customers, from the beginning, expect you, or don't, they have not the expectation that you know exactly how to behave, exactly what to say, and I'm sure I did lots of faux pas. I definitely in meetings at the beginning and afterwards, this my senpai, this predecessor, he just came to me and said, Jan, during the next meeting, you should maybe slow down, or you should not say that. Just keep that next time for you, and afterwards we can talk about it. He taught me a lot. So he was really kind of good senpai, and he knew that I was taking over, and he just gave me very nice lectures. So I really appreciate that. And half a year later, I became general manager. That was a half a year overtime, taking over at that time.
And then, how did the team accept you? Because they've had him, he's a bit of a legend in the industry. You're this new guy from Germany, you turn up, they get to know you a little bit over that half-year period, but now you're the boss. So they know you're going to become the boss as well. So there's automatically, he's going to be the new boss, so there's that part of it. Treat him differently to everyone else. So how did you go about engaging them? How did you find a way that you could become connected with them as the boss?
That was not so difficult, because when I already came from Germany, came over as a deputy general manager, they were focusing more on me, because they knew he was leaving.
They knew you're it.
They already knew he's the one coming from the headquarters. He has more power. And that's the point. I mean, if I felt that, especially the older guys, they're doing, they're in their cloud, they're doing it all the time, the same way, same, rituals, whatever. And I wanted to do it a different way. So I sometimes used the, let's say, power. Say, if you want to impress the headquarters, you should better do it this way. Or if you want to if you don't want to get, let's say, being insulted or so by sometimes direct colleagues from Germany, you should better do it this way. So I did a kind of coaching way.
You use that as a lever.
Yes.
Nice.
I just, sometimes I use it, sometimes I did it for myself. But if I felt, no, you cannot, he doesn't accept if it's just your opinion. You need someone to back up. And that was a headquarter. So I just used this backup from the headquarters. And
did you get runs on the board? Because one of the things about people in that position often say is that, they felt some pressure to get some wins, and particularly wins with headquarters to establish their credibility. So the Japanese team would look up and go, this guy can deliver. He's actually our man in headquarters. and he's on our side. He's our guy. Did you find that worked for you?
Yes.
What did you do to do that? What sort of wins did you get? What did you find? Okay, I can get a couple of wins here and establish my credibility a bit more.
That was you talking about my wins, not of my team.
Well, you're getting wins for them vis-a-vis headquarters. Is what I'm talking about. So you go to bat for them.
Yes.
Germany says it's got to be like this, but you go and talk to headquarters. Say, well, yes, but in Japan we're going to do it a little bit like this, and then your team go, oh, he's our guy. As opposed to he comes back and says, no, you have to do it this way. He's their guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just interested to see how you got that engagement with them.
Yeah, so I got this this win, or let's say the win or the profit situation. I got it from the customer. So
Okay.
Because also in many customers, big customers, which were actually the same like when I was working for Walter, especially power generation industry, steel industry, aluminum industry, there were also lots of generation change. So the older generation just stepped down, and younger people, similar age, like 40, that age, they were just, climbing up. And they saw that I can speak Japanese, and we were talking on a different level. Mm-hmm. And that was the point when I noticed that my predecessor, that 63-year-old guy, he was not successful when he was talking to these people, to the customers who were younger, who were just 30 or 40, because he was like, he was kind of like, yeah, we got to do it like this and that. And it's like, you can't talk to the customer like that. But he said, well, he is younger, and he wants to, he wants to profit from our relation. He wants to climb up in the ladder of his company. Mm-hmm. So he needs my help. Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, if it's like that, I can help him by going to treat him with more respect, other way. And getting these good feedback then from the customer, you just do projects successfully, and you see that you get along. You can get success. You can get more orders. You can get repeat orders from the customers. That was my point when I showed the headquarters. Okay, you're not wrong. I'm the right guy, and I showed to my team. You see, if you do it like that, we're going to be successful.
And especially when they are seeing their previous Japanese president, not being as successful, and they themselves are maybe not being as successful, and then you're not even Japanese, and you turn up, and you're getting deals, and you're getting repeat deals, and they're going, okay, this guy's onto something here. That's a really big breakthrough point, I think, in terms of having credibility with your team. What other things did you find worked in terms of getting credibility with the team?
First of all, my predecessor, he was also successful.
Okay.
Really successful. So he did lots of references, and which were references which we could use in the machine tool industry then. So it was not the case that he was not successful, but he was kind of, unpleasant when working or cooperating with the headquarters.
Right.
It's like, just to give you an example, we got these project meetings with the customer. We invited him to Germany, the project meetings, and if you talk about one big machine with all this specification, how was not just the size of the workpiece, but also, how big is the motor? How about special features and that stuff? You talk about everything, which takes usually about 3 days. And each day, Japanese, like, if you do this kind of project meetings or kickoff meeting, we call it kickoff meetings, it's from the morning, 8 o'clock, until the evening. While if you take the same kickoff meeting with Chinese guys, they say, okay, we planned 5 days, but 2 days is enough. The rest is for tourist, attractions, so just sightseeing.
We're going sightseeing.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Japanese, 3 days was not enough because they wanted to discuss everything into detail, into very, very details, talking about tolerances, micron tolerances, and they say, hey, guys, we just do it kick off over here. Slow it down, please. Yeah. But they were really, that was really always long. And at the end of each day, you always talk about, this whole specifications and additional costs, or not, or we just do it for free or whatever. But then but then we need a promise that, or an LOI that we can get the second machine or something like this. So it's kind of negotiation. Mm-hmm. And the end of the last day, end of the 3 days, we were nearly finished. We were already exhausted. It was 8 p.m. and we were, just in a hurry because the restaurant in that village was closing, and And then he came up and said, "Oh, wait a minute! I just remember there was that point," and he started the whole discussion again. It was like, "Do you know who you're working for? Yeah. Are you working for the customer or are you working for us?" I mean, looking from the German perspective. Yes. But he was just taking the standpoint of the customers, which he was interviewing during the break.
Right.
Or he just got to know during the break, when they talked to each other, there was still something that was not clear.
Yeah.
But the Germans thought, okay,
good.
Everything is all is good, all is fine, looking from their perspective. And he came up with that point because he took the point of the customer. Mm-hmm. So, and this was, that was the friction point.
I'll bet. I'll bet. So how long did you play that role there?
Wait a minute. It was June 2010 until October 2017. So,
and then you joined Guhring, is it?
Yes. And then there was another scout, another headhunter, who just called me and asked me, how about meeting Mr. Guhring? And Mr. Guhring is he is a pioneer in this industry. He is a pioneer in drilling industry, and this is like it was like if maybe Mr. Mori from Gimji Mori Seiki wants to meet you, or Mr. Toyoda wants to meet you. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Yeah. And I of course I just want to meet him. Definitely shaking his hands is just like, wow, yes, that has an impact. And same way, I mean, I met him. We just had some discussions, and I said, yeah, why not? Gurhing Japan, they have a production facility. We just had an office, a sales office before that. Mm-hmm. Gurhing Japan has a production facility, and now we have 60 guys, 60 people here. And running this business is another business. It's again tool.
So this is what year did you take over in Guhring?
Pardon me?
What year did you take over here at Guhring?
October 2017.
Okay, so it's been 5 years now.
I'm over the 50th year right now. Exactly.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. So, if you think about your experience at your previous company and this company,
yes.
You talked a little bit about how you got engagement in the first company. So you come in, there's been someone running Guhring before you, obviously.
Yes.
So you're the new guy.
Yes.
And this is probably not a 6-month transition. This is probably straight in, right? One out, one in.
Local contract, yes.
Local contract. Yes. So now you're okay. So bang, you're in. So how did you go about getting the team engaged to follow you? Because they don't know you. Okay, you speak Japanese. You've been with would they be considered not a competitor? Sort of a similar manufacturing
industry,
concept, similar industry, but not really a competitor. So you don't really know this product particularly, I guess. So how did you go about getting them engaged to follow you?
Okay. Guhring is a competitor of my first company, Walter.
Okay.
So there's competition, and especially of competitor is OSG. So we are direct competition with OSG right now. That was one point. So I already knew about the tools, not about especially drilling tools and reamers, what we are selling now. So I had to learn a little bit, of course. But I had experience in the industry, and I knew the customers, and I knew the way how to sell it. And I could sell. Before that, I sold big machines, and now selling tools. If it's the same customer, you can use a contact, you can use a network, and my predecessor here in Guhring, actually he's still with the company. He also wanted to step down, but he's still with the company.
Here or back in?
No, he is in Hiroshima. We have, in all over Japan, we have 5 offices, sales office, and he's the sales office in Hiroshima.
Okay.
And
that's a bit unusual for your predecessor now becoming a subordinate.
Yes.
In a branch office.
Yes.
That's interesting.
But, he wanted to step down, and they were looking for a successor. So that's why they asked me. And it's a German company, and
so coming back to the engagement, though, so you've got a new team here.
Yes.
His predecessor has not left.
Yes.
He's still here.
Yes.
How do you go about building the team to follow you?
First of all, I started the big point of communication. I felt, I saw the company, how everyone working, and before that, I felt, yes, it was kind of a more top-down rule, And first of all, I started to communicate with everyone. Really with everyone. I need to talk to everyone, have a small talk. And I started setting up a newsletter.
So was it 60 people when you took it over, or you've grown it to that?
No, 60 people when I took it over.
When you took over, 60 people.
Yes,
so you got to talk to 60 people.
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
60 people, and here we are, I think, 13 or 14. And then in the other, of course, sales offices, and then in the plant. So I went everywhere, talked to the people, got a picture of everyone, and then I wrote a newsletter about, because I needed to build up a direct communication channel to each of them, which is okay, because we have 5 different sales offices all over Japan, and we got this planned, and that was before Corona, definitely. So we didn't have this digitalized opportunities yet. So it was difficult to meet, to get everyone together somewhere in Japan and to meet them. So I needed to go there. And I wanted to see how they work, where they work, and that stuff. I needed to get a picture. So I started a communication channel by newsletter and also by direct interviews. And, I interviewed in the plant, not everyone, but nearly everyone, I remember.
Right,
yes.
quite a lot.
And then I got this whole picture, who's working, how, and then I figured out, okay, I gave them my vision in Japanese. I say, okay, he can speak Japanese, so he's not that foreigner like the one from the headquarters, who turn up here and then back again. So he's here steadily, and I already told everyone that I'm I have a permanent residence, so I'm not the one who's going back. I'm here, and I'm here forever, probably. And and that was kind of turning point.
And that's a big deal too, because that
yes.
sort of
yes.
Swinging door, bosses coming in and out. They sort of go, okay, this one, get the clock started now,
yes.
3 years or 5 years, or whatever it is, as opposed to he's here, he's not going anywhere. So in terms of one of the critical parts of getting creativity from people, I don't mean necessarily just R&D, I mean creativity at every level, is being engaged, caring, right? So if the engagement piece is working, then people have got care about making the firm better. What have you found works well in terms of getting the team to come up with ideas? Not you as the boss, but them coming up with ideas. Have you found anything that works well for that?
Well, I'm not a fan of big meetings because they are not very efficient, and you don't get their ideas out of big meetings. Big meetings are, like for announcing something, for letting everyone report about his market or about his customers. So we had these kind of meetings at the beginning, but I'm more a fan of, getting 2-3 people together in one department, and there you get the ideas. So smaller groups, smaller working groups, and it's difficult, because I'm the CEO and the president. So sometimes I wish I could just cut my title down to a usual salesman and just work together with them. And actually, at the beginning, that was also the way I did it. I said, okay, I'm just getting dressed. Okay, let's go to customers together. I said, well, then we need someone appropriate to meet you. I said, what? Yeah, because you're the president. So the customer also needs to ask the president, which is kind of,
It starts a problematic issue
already
for them,
a problematic
hierarchy
yes.
and
Hierarchy,
president's
exactly.
schedule. And
they said, okay, that's so that this is not going well. Okay. But in each department, in the sales department, in the plant, I already, I also looked at the people, and I figured out who has which strengths and weaknesses. So
on your team side or on
my team side?
Oh, your team side. Okay, right.
So I'm always looking at the people. Everyone when I talk to them, it doesn't take much time to get to know them. But if you go there often, if you are together with them, if you visit the offices, and in the evening, of course, you go for drinking, you do some entertainment, you get to know them. Did karaoke with everyone, and then you get to know them, and then you also you feel that if you are accepted or not on the private level. And my way of thinking is okay, you are the boss, but you don't need to behave like that. And the opposite, you better not behave like a boss, because you are the same. I mean, we are pulling the same line. We are working in the same boat. So that's why, if you can just show that on the private level, you're the same person. So you just talk about your family and give some private talks, and they talk about their family, and just when drinking, and say, okay, he's actually a kind guy. When they feel that, they are more open also when you work together. And that was my way into their acceptance. And then I saw their strengths and weakness, and then I felt, okay, it's like having a chessboard. A chessboard, okay, on which position, which field is the right character? So in which position in your company? I mean, he has these strengths, but these weaknesses. And you better take him out of let's say, the quality center, and take him as an operator, a machine operator, or the other way around. And then you can be more efficient, or they can work more efficient, or we can more work as a team. And I was looking in each department, seeing who is sitting on the right position or not.
Because often in Japanese companies, that's not worked out. It's,
okay.
You are entered in a certain year, and you're going to rotate around the company. So, manager for export for heavy machinery this year, head of HR next year, a head of audit the next year after that. There's no fit for purpose.
Yes.
So you're actually doing an actual calculation around, have we got the person on the right bus? Have we got them in the right seat on the bus? And if we haven't, let's change seats or change buses, right? And how did that relate to creativity, though? What did that unleash in terms of creativity when you started getting people in the right positions?
It's first of all, when you talk to them, to each person, most of the time, just one by one, and I always ask them, how do you see yourself within the next 5 years? What is your personal aim? What do you target? What is there something you want to do in this company? Something like you better want to work in a sales organization, or you want to work in another place, or is there something I can do for you? I asked them personally, and some of them told me, actually, I'm really would like to do this, or I would like to do that. And I tried to make that possible. So I made a way to make it possible. I did it for them. And then I saw that when they can do what they want to do, they're getting creative. They see that they can do better than others in the same position. They can do more. And this is how I felt, okay, here we can get some creativity. You know.
It sounds like that's also overlapping into the trust area too, because
Yeah.
you know, any culture, trust is critical. I think in this culture particularly,
Yes.
it's particularly critical. And it sounds like, you know, through your, we're on the same level as human beings, approach as a leader, going to karaoke, treating people the same. Not, I'm the boss, you know, all start bowing in my general direction. Not that. And also, I guess, you know, in terms of trying to get people arranged into a work area that really excites them, they appreciate that. Any other things you found that work well in getting trust?
Yes. As I mentioned before, is like, you know, you should never take that hierarchy so strict. So even if I'm the CEO or the president, I like to be on the same level with others and do the same work. So I like, you know, I go to the plant, I put on my working clothes, and like during Corona times, you know, we got a new machine, and there was not the possibility that an engineer from Germany could come over and install that machine. I said, okay, we got Zoom or Teams or whatever it was. We do it online. I do it. I was working for a machine tool builder, so I got experience with that. And if I get instructions from the specialist, or what's it about? And also headquarters, oh, are you sure about that? We never have done that before. But I did it. That was good from headquarters to see, okay, we can do something like that. And it was good to see from my people. I was in the shop floor, and I saw, you know, wow, what?
President's got a wrench in his hand and grease all over his face.
Yes, actually, yeah, he's doing, and you know, I was doing that on purpose. It was not the first time that I put on my working clothes, but also before that, when I saw there was a lack of people who could, you know, there's an urgent order, we need to deliver raw materials to customers, and we need someone who can check the material for, you know, for defective material. So we got the ultrasonic measuring device, and actually it's not a big deal if someone can show you how to do it. And someone was there, showed us, and then I was checking as well. So I showed my team, I am working with you. If it's necessary and there's no one else, I am here with you, I'm working with you, I'm pulling the same line. You know, we're on the same boat. So just show it them, and you get a completely different respect, because I see, okay, if it's necessary, he's jumping in for us. And
leading from the front, as we say.
Yes, leading from the front. It's not like, you know, not like staying in the back and, you know, just
cracking the whip.
Crack on the whip and just telling them, go faster. It's like
speed up down the back there.
Standing in the front and showing them, if it's necessary and all of you are ill, I am here and I'm trying to keep this up. You know, you really have to show that you're standing in for them. And there was also another point, my first reaction, or my first, let's say, activity when you see when I started in Guhring, it's like, there was this, you know, we always have this year-end meeting, and I looked over the vacation days they took. I saw, 60 people.
No vacation days.
No vacations, or 0, 0, 0, 0. Sometimes 1 or 2 days. I'm like, no way. I mean, they're working so long and so long time, no vacation. Why is that? My first newsletter was when my first newsletter, I took this as a topic, as a main topic, and wrote about why do we have vacations? Why is it necessary for a human body to take vacations? Because only if you can rest well, you can work well. So, and I urge them, take vacations. It's
I mean, for people who are based outside of Japan, listening to this conversation, they're going, what's he talking about?
Exactly.
They don't take vacations in Japan.
Exactly.
But it's true. I mean, I had same problems, you know, like same thing. You go, no, hang on, you've got all this leave. And they lose it, you know. It builds up for 2 years, and then it goes.
It goes away.
You don't get to stack it up forever. So, you know, it's a constant battle to Strange. A constant battle to get people to take time off, but
Yeah.
sounds like the same thing.
After that, now it became, I think it became a law that they have to take at least 5 days a year.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, 5 days. Every German would laugh about that. So it was usual for me to take vacation, and I urged them to take vacations, and it took time, but they did. And you know what? Now, when people apply for a job with us, they say we are looking for companies where we can take our vacations.
Yeah.
And there was another point, I started 2 years ago. It was in 2020. Yeah. I started my first survey because I felt, even though you have a newsletter, even though you tell everyone you got a problem, you can call me directly. Nevertheless, if there is one or two managers in between, you can call me directly. Before someone leaves the company, I want to know why. I want to know if you can do something about it. Because the biggest problem in Japan is human resource. And this problem is getting bigger and bigger because people, because of the people are shrinking.
Populations
declining. And
young people are less
Exactly.
in number.
So I want to know if it's the operator and the machine, everyone counts. Everyone counts. I gave them the feeling, and I really mean it. And even though I felt, okay, there's something going on which you still don't know, so I need to take something else, other action. So I started a survey, which is just 4 questions: what do you like in Guhring? What you don't like in Guhring? What would you change? And would you just leave it like that? Just 4 questions. Just simple questions.
So this is not a Guhring-wide survey. This is a Japan-level local survey. Or this is a Guhring worldwide.
No. Just
local.
Guhring, just going to Guhring Japan. Just Guhring Japan level like that. And I said, okay, I'm sending this out in paper form, and also the receipts with the envelope. I'm the only one who's opening it. I'm the only one who's reading it. So if you fear that your boss or the boss of your boss is going to read something he doesn't like, it gets directly to me.
I'm the only one seeing it.
And that opened them, and I got lots of personal opinions, which you also have when you read it. You have to tolerate it. It's like, okay, yeah, you want to go for a company trip or something like this. Looking at our figures, that doesn't match at all. But I can at least try it. I can at least try to go there and it's another way of communication, and it's another way to say wherever you work, wherever you are in Guhring Japan, I'm listening to you and I'm reacting on that.
How about building a culture? Because you have Guhring headquarter culture, and then you have Japan, and there's always going to be a version in Japan, or any place actually, of the headquarter culture. So what have you found works well in terms of creating a local culture, a Guhring local culture?
Speaking about local culture, I mean, of course, if you go to Hiroshima, it's or even Osaka or wherever you go, it's like from Tokyo. Tokyo is far away. Tokyo is over there, but we're over here. Yeah. Our customers are different. It's even within Japan, you got lots of so many different cultures. So if I talk about Guhring culture, I can only talk about the culture we have in our plant because there are 30 people, and over here, because in all other offices there are just 2 guys or maybe 3 guys sitting, and we have a culture in our plant which is very nice. They're also doing lots together. They're doing like hanami or so, or barbecues, or we even
baseball.
Not baseball, but softball.
Softball.
They created a softball team last year, exactly, and
that's always a good thing.
It was really good, and I report.
You any good at softball?
I never tried it before. I mean, yeah, maybe I know the rules, but I'm not that in details. And but I already told them. I reported in newsletter to everyone. We got a softball team, and they're doing it locally. And next time. Well, last year they started last year in I think January or so. So just 1 year. And last year there were lots of plays or lots of games that were just skipped or just cancelled because of Corona, because of typhoon, whatever you have. And I said, okay, when I have the time next time, I'm going to join you. I'll just try it. And if you try it, if you're with them, they also feel different because you're on the same level. You know.
So in terms of corporate culture, though, I mean, business culture, have you found anything that works well in terms, because culture is one of those glues that sticks the company together. And you talked about before, a good point about the war for talent, the retention struggle to keep people. You don't want to lose them. The population's declining. The youth population's, halved in the last 20 years. It's going to halve again in the next 40 years. Running out of young people, running out of people. So, keeping people is going to be one of the big differentiators between those who succeed and those who don't. So culture is part of that they feel that, well, yes, maybe I can go somewhere else for more dough, but I like this culture. I like the people. I like the culture here. I feel, I'm respected here. I feel comfortable here. That can make a big difference in terms of retention. So have you found anything in terms of, from your viewpoint, that helps to build a culture that's going to retain people?
Yes. I have to admit, we at Guhring, we're not paying the best salaries. And actually, I think it's the culture, the freedom that you can take vacations as you like it. I mean, no one is saying something like that, saying about that, and the freedom that everyone who wants to try something new, who wants to challenge something new within the company, he gets a chance. So if someone told me like last month, I had I always have these personal interviews, HR interviews I'm doing directly, and I'm also every year I ask them, okay, what is there something you want to do in that company? What is your aim? Do you have some targets you want to do? So and there was that guy. He said, yeah, I'm interested in electricity, and I would like to learn about something more electricity, maybe maintenance, machine maintenance, something. Okay, great. I take that, and I'm going to find a way for you where you can do that. And actually, we need someone who can maintenance our machines. So I already found a way for that.
You found the guy.
Yes, but if they feel that they cannot just tell your opinion freely, openly, they can take the vacation and they can do what they are aiming to do. What they want, not what they want, but what they want within the company, what is possible. Then there's no need to go anywhere else. This is kind of culture, this open communication. And I repeatedly, every year, every month, in every meeting, I tell them, communication. This is the main point in our company. It was also the main lack in our company before I joined you. Even when I started the first 2-3 years, there were still frictions. I said, okay, there's no talk to each other. Guys, you are on the same shop floor. Why don't you talk to each other? And if you feel this culture and you also feel that in the meeting, even if you are the boss, you have this opinion, and someone is even saying, but I think, wow, I'm listening to it, but I think, it's different, and it shows you that people can talk freely.
Yeah, that's a big breakthrough to have people.
It is.
Oppose the president's idea publicly. That's a big deal.
But it's a long way there. And there was one point I would like to mention is that when I started here, maybe the second year or so, I still felt there's this hierarchy thinking in hierarchies, and even when you write a mail, it's like Babatz Shacho, or something Kacho, or it's like it's writing the title in the main field. So oh wow, and even when they talk to you, it's like Babatz Shacho. What do you think? It's like, come on. I mean, yeah, I know I'm the president, but I don't need to remember it every time. So I think 2 years ago or so, I said, okay, let's stop that. Within the company, it's okay if you say san. We just keep it on the level san. You can use shacho or kacho, whatever you like, but I think many, especially young people, feel more comfortable when they can say san, because they feel it's like, there's not that hurdle to speak to someone who's higher than you are. And they can just point out their point of view, their opinion. And that was a big step. And actually now I think we're all calling each other son.
That's intriguing, very intriguing. What about some advice to someone who's going to be sent to Japan? You know, you hinted at some of those ideas before in the beginning, so let's flesh those out. What would be some advice you'd give someone? They don't know Japan, they don't speak Japanese. Should they learn Japanese? What should they do when they get here? What's your advice?
Well, 3 advices: learn Japanese, learn Japanese, learn Japanese. No, actually, I think it's very important to learn Japanese. And
is it realistic? You know, you got a 3-year posting, maybe 5 years you can do it?
Yeah, I saw people who didn't speak one word in Japanese, you know, during that exchange year. They just came with one word, was konnichiwa or something like this.
Yeah.
And when we're living here in Japan, use it every day. At the end, they could do the same jokes I did. So it was like, speaking Japanese is not that hurdle. You just need to practice. You not just need to practice every day. So learning Japanese, I think it's essential. Essential to get a way of communication to the people directly. You know, it's not about, if you need a translator or interpreter, whatever it is, there's always this third person who is, you know, probably changing the background or the meaning which you want to say.
Well, the interpretation, you start with this much content and you get this much content in the different language, right?
Yes. And there's, so learning Japanese, I think if you want to, if it's for short time, middle term, like 3-5 years, or even or of course, if it's for a long time, it's essential to talk at least some words in Japanese. And you will see that if you go to the customers, they appreciate even the smallest words. So even you know, just some vocabulary. Of course, if you know, can just speak some words and you feel like, wow, I can speak Japanese, they are just repeating in normal Japanese, and you got, you know, that hands up and okay, that's I'm out of that.
So apart from learning Japanese, what would be some other advice you could give?
Definitely, you know, keep close contact to your people, to your team. To look behind. What does that mean,
to keep close contact with your team?
That means
you could have 300 people or 200 people or something. Could be a huge organization.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have to look for the people, you know, who you can communicate well. Find some supporter, you know, who understand your situation, but also some people who try to manage between you and the team. And then you should also try to, you know, see behind the scenes by communicating with people, or just, you know, inviting them to events, doing something out of the box, you know, think out of the box, be freely, do some events, and whatever culture or communication, I don't know, whatever culture you come from, whatever country you come from, try to introduce your culture as well. So like, I felt, you know, I come from a German company, and when we have an exhibition, well, why not just, you know, handing out German beer? So we bought a beer server. I took that license, you know, and then we're just serving German beer, and of course also for the staff.
Nice.
And they appreciate it, of course. I mean, German beer, yeah, klar. Yeah, definitely. So something like this. So introduce your own culture and get the contact to the people so they can understand you. And yes, and then definitely, if you come to Japan, I mean, if it's a salesman or if it's a general manager or, you know, whatever hierarchy you are coming from or whatever title is in your business card, don't act like that. And don't be so foolish to go to the customer and look and seeing just some people in working suits and talking to them top down. Definitely not. Because one of them could be the shacho, could be the president, which I often felt. It's like, oh, that's a very friendly grandpa over there. What's he doing here? Oh, this is our president. Oh my God. This can happen all the time. This can happen all the time.
Especially as they don't talk up in meetings too. You know, you think in a Western meeting, you're the president, you're going to be a dominant presence in the room, a dominant force. But often they, you know, and the other thing too is, you know, you turn up at the meeting, there's like you, or maybe 2 of you, and there's like 15 of them, right? And they all come in and, you know, well, I guess you do the Meshi Korkan, you can work out who's who, but often maybe they come to the meeting later, meeting's already started, and they just wander in and sit down and unassuming one of the number, and you don't have any clue, and that's, you know, division head, or maybe a different division, related division, or the, you know, vice president, or one of the directors. It could be quite a senior person, but they don't dominate the meeting. They often look like they're sleeping. They say they're listening. I always wonder about that one, when they say they're listening and they're sleeping with their eyes closed. Is that really what's going on?
You will never know.
I'll assume they are. I will assume they are. I wonder about that. But, you know, it's not an obvious thing as to who's who and who's the decision maker.
Exactly.
Actually, usually there's no single decision maker. So we're looking for the wrong thing, you know. We're thinking Western, there's one key person. We convert the key person, we'll get all the others to snap in a line and follow. Maybe no.
Exactly. Now, you've really got to be careful. And another point which I would really like to give as an advice is try, difficult to say, but, you know, try to think back how you learned your own culture as a baby, you know, and do the same here. Come here, first watch, take yourself back. Don't talk as you would talk in your own country, in your headquarters. Just be silent, listen and learn. And then when you see, okay, this is something I would do different, but wait for the time. Timing is very important in Japan. Wait for the time and then start, you know. But this usually, you know, if you come from a Western culture, from a Western country, people used to talk a lot. And, you know, the more you talk, the better you are, or the better you are promoting yourself. And so this is all, just forget this. Forget everything you heard about Japan. No assumptions, no prejudice. Come here and learn.
Starting. Yeah. So what's your definition of leadership?
Coaching. I see leadership as, I treat, a leader for me is a coach. And actually, when I was working at Waldrich Siegen, that company, that vice president, he became my coach. Right. And he became more, at the end, he got retired, he invited me to his home, and so we got a really personal relationship. And and that was my best learning time ever. He coached me, and he promoted. He gave me just kind of advice. And leadership for me is really like coaching. See the strengths in your people and give them advices. Do it like that. Do it like this, and show them the ways how they can act better. And then, when they succeed with their actions, which you recommended, they see, oh, this is the way I should maybe continue. You know, this is, for me, leadership means coaching the people instead of, working top down.
Yeah. Very nice. Thank you. A good place to finish up. Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you, Rex.
So please join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.